Joining us now is OjyOkpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Janet.
Dr. Abati with the legendary introduction. Good morning. How are you this morning? We missed you yesterday.
Well,
I'm glad you're back.
Thank you.
Good morning, Rufai.
I'm looking for the word Dr. Abati. Action. Oh, yeah.
Of course. Action. You're doing well. How are you, Rufai? I love that. We're missing Ayo this morning.
Yes, so.
Well, all right. We hope to see her tomorrow. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending. Senator representing Edo North, Oshiomhole, is the latest to condemn the actions of the Kogi State Governor, Usman Ododo, for his interference in the legal scuffle between his predecessor, Yahaya Bello, and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Well, over the weekend, the senator spoke at the National Integration Conference organized by the Kukah Centre, urging citizens to speak up against breaches of the law, irrespective of who is involved.
If you are afraid, given the fact that you are very vocal, you are independent, you cannot be dismissed, you cannot be promoted or demoted. If you are afraid to mention the name of a governor, a former governor, who breached the law, and a city governor who used immunity to cover a governor that lost immunity, where will the courage come from? This sophistry of saying we can name the child of a poor man who's still a goat, but we are afraid to mention the name of a big man who breached the law. That for me is at the root of our problem. Some state governors, I must emphasize some, argue that they do not have the resources to pay 50% subsidy in order to ensure that the children of the poor go to school, even where those governors are sending their own children abroad. And one thing we shouldn't do, sir, is that when we talk and you don't mention name, everybody becomes a suspect. What I consider to be the most important investment, namely to resolve that never should a child be born in this country and deny the access to go to school.
All right, Dr. Abati Oshiomhole there spoke very well. I mean, it was a lengthy conversation he had there. But you weren't here yesterday where we discussed Yahaya Bello, where, you know, through his media aid denied that he paid that $760,000 in advance fee payment to the American International School for his children. But, you know, but in the meantime, he also said that his children attend the school there, correct? In that memo that we read yesterday. But you know that Kogi State is ranked 27th out of all the states in Nigeria with out-of-school children between the age of 6 and 15. And I think that's what Oshiomhole is alluding to there, which is the fact that, you know, he was a governor, and governors and policymakers should ensure that children go and get the appropriate education that they need. Well, the former governor of Edo State also addressed the issue of sexual orientation in the Nigerian context during the conference, which was themed Revisiting the National Question, Nigeria's elusive search for national integration. Oshiomhole stated that in Nigeria, sexual orientation matters and that homosexuality should be condemned.
And I was worried by one word you used at the beginning. Nobody spoke on it. And I think you were trying to be internationally correct. You mustn't try to be. You should be correct within the context of Nigerian value system, where you spoke to regardless of sexual orientation. No. That is fashionable in the West. In Nigeria, sexual orientation matters. A man should not sleep with a man, and a woman should not sleep with a woman. If they do, it must not be acknowledged by the Nigerian state. We must discourage the young ones, because if you begin to use that regardless, it matters. I will not. I'm sorry for any people, those who have subscribed to Western values. I would employ any man or a woman, or support, or vote for, or vote because of his sexual orientation. I need to know it, so that there are core values to Nigeria that we must defend.
All right, Dr. Abati, over to you. I mean, topical issue here. Oshiomhole speaking on national issues.
I listened to the video that is in circulation. This was at the Conference on National Question and National Integration, organized by the Kukah Centre in Abuja. Well, Senator Oshiomhole said he wasn't invited by Bishop Kukah, but when he saw the advert, he invited himself because as a senator, he thinks that he would like to be part of the conversation. And he got an opportunity to respond to some of the issues. What are some of the key takeaways from his contribution for me? One, he said that the major problem we face in this country is ethics, values, that our value system has collapsed. And that is precisely the truth. And he even fingered the religious bodies as part of the problem. Once upon a time, values used to be important in this country. Values are no longer important, and that is where we are. Now, he talked about the failure of the leadership elite, and he is one of the members of, by the way. And that because the leadership elite has failed, that's why we have all these problems, because people don't serve with the public spirit. They are more interested in themselves. He described himself as one of the oppressed, marginalized majorities in Nigeria and all of that. Well, the phrase he used, I can't immediately recall it. I don't think he can call himself part of the oppressed people because he was able to break out of that mode. But he said he belongs to that category. Nobody would support him in that regard. He talked about how the industrial and trade policy has failed. He talked about how he went to Kaduna from a remote village in Edo State, and nobody bothered where he came from. And industry was thriving. Textile factories were working. It was through that textile and garment factory that he rose to the very top. Those same factories have collapsed today. He made all of those points, and I think on all of those points he's right. The only part that I don't accept is he trying to define himself as one of the masses. Now, the fourth point that he made has to do with this sexual orientation. He said people were being politically correct. Well, the issue is that there is a law in Nigeria defining that. The Same-Sex Prohibition and Prevention Act of 2014, one of the last pieces of legislation that President Jonathan signed when he was in office. And that law simply says that the definition of marriage, Section 1 of the Matrimonial Causes Act, stands in Nigeria. Marriage is defined as a relationship between a man and a woman, not between a man and a man or between a woman and a woman. Very sensitive subject. Many believed that part of the problems the Jonathan administration had to do with the passing of that law. And the Jonathan administration, it was my duty at that time to explain to the Nigerian public and the international community that this is the position of the National Assembly of Nigeria. This is the preference of the Nigerian people. The Nigerian people say that homosexuality is not what they want. It's not President Jonathan saying this is what he wants. And you can see the reflection of that from what Senator Oshiomhole was saying about the limits of political correctness. And he made that point at the same time when the NHS in the UK
I was just about to say
was just saying that sex is a biological fact.
It's a biological
now,
fact.
that's not in Nigeria. That's in the UK.
United Kingdom.
Where they're saying that transgender women cannot have access to female wards because the biological definition of sex stands. And they are going to review the nursing services constitution in the UK to reflect that. So he raised very cogent issues. I think the beauty of a forum like the Kukah Centre is that we keep talking about these issues. But is anybody listening? Will Senator Oshiomhole himself go beyond the rhetoric of speaking so eloquently, you know, at a symposium?
All right.
Take consequential action by taking actions on the floor of the Senate. It's not enough to talk. It is better to act on these issues about those, you know, centrifugal factors at the heart of the national question and those issues that we need to address for us to have national integration. And I take special notice of the point that he made about ethics, about values, which is where we have gone wrong, as he identified in his contribution.
Well, all right. We'll take another story. As many Nigerians expressed concern over the demolition of Landmark Beach, the meeting between the Minister of Works and Housing, David Umahi, and contractors handling the 200 kilometers Abuja-Lokoja-Benin road has made the rounds on social media. Well, during the meeting, Umahi sent a stern warning to contractors who refused to sign a new contract to forget the job. The minister also advised that if any contractor was seen on site without signing any contract, he will instruct locals to beat them up and chase them out of the site. Let's take a look.
This contract is over 2 billion per kilometer. And let me even assure you that if you are signing the contract, you sign it along the basic rates, you sign it alongside the timetable, and you deploy in 3 sections, or I will terminate the job.
We request from you more time. Let us send the document and whatever to the head office to have the final say on it. So.
You don't dictate us. This is our conditions. You want to work, fine. You don't want to work, leave the job. It's not compulsory that you must be the one to do the job. That's my position. We have to protect this country. Take this contract as the Constitution of Federal Republic. It's a constitution that is going to guide us. You cannot be on site and the people are dying. The vehicles are falling down and you're playing politics with the lives of the people. And we fold our hands and leave you. For what? If you don't sign the contract and you stay on site, I will ask the locals to beat you up. Yes, I'm on camera and I mean it.
Rufai has been termed as the most performing minister after this video began circulating online. I mean, but you know that he's been doing well, actually, with all the roads. I mean, we saw the Third Mainland Bridge, but also the contentious landmark demolition. Yes.
He said something that was not true. He said a lot of statements that can be questioned and be fact-checked. He said it was the shanties that were demolished. No, most parts of landmark have been demolished. I mean, I have a video that will show you to that effect this extent of demolition that has gone on there, which is a very sad one for our country.
Yes.
I know we need to do a coastal road, but also either to that road was supposed to be detoured away from that area. Oji, concerning, there's something we always call for public decorum. You're negotiating with people. They also should have input. No matter how much you want to defend the country, don't forget that these contractors are also running the business. And I don't know, by the way, why we can't have more Nigerian construction companies in there. Maybe because of the variables of the construction sector, which makes it very expensive. But we wanted more Nigerian players is also in the room. That's something we should also consider. You're negotiating with people. It's not a hook, line, and sinker thing. If you have iterated your cost, you also will give them a chance to be able to make their input. And if it doesn't go well, then you guys don't reach an agreement. Then the most important part, which lacked decorum, by saying you're going to get locals to beat them up. You don't need to say that. That's wrong. Because you're charging at violence, you're doing something that's entirely very wrong, and you're endangering their lives. And that's also a threat on their lives. But I also get his points. His point is, because there's this thing contractors do. They don't take your job. They will stay on your site. They will not leave. They will make it difficult for you to pull them out. They do it a lot to frustrate your business. So I get that. You can tell them that, please, not frustrate this if you're not taking it. Let's move on. But not say you will get locals to beat them up. No, that's not right.
All right.
I'd like to come back to that initial issue. You see, because there's a lot of virtue signaling we're doing in this country.
Which initial issue is that?
About that of Oshiomhole.
Okay.
I get the point completely against homosexuality, and I'm happy that the Same-Sex Prohibition Act is there because we all know the debates that went on. And the collective and a lot of people advocated because these are our own value system. And let's not forget that we must have an ascendancy of our own value system in African context. It's not what the West throws down at us. They might hurt you with their aid and everything, but we have a value that is obtainable for us on the African continent. Yes, some people will now push their argument further by saying, oh, people should also have the right of rationality to do whatever they want to do. But we have pervasive value system in our society, and that's why I must have to say this act of cross-dressing we are now seeing, the proliferation of all sorts going on, is not in our value system. And we must be able to ask due questions when it comes to that. But the part I disagree with Oshiomhole on, this is the same person that is now talking about the political class are falling of values. It is the same political class that helped destroy the value. Was it not in the APC as chairman when he said, if you join APC, your sins are forgiven? Is this not this Oshiomhole that tries so much to be a godfather in Edo State that Obaseki had to kick against him? Is this not this same Oshiomhole that we all know what went down. We all remember his stellar career being a labor leader. But all of a sudden, he transited to politics, and we saw otherwise. We saw no empathy. We saw go and die to a woman that you had chased off the road. I'm not saying street trading should be supported, but also public decorum. So we are blaming the churches. We are blaming every part. But our politicians, when they try to start doing this virtue signaling, they should also check themselves.
Right.
Because part of the problem has been frustration of the politicians and how they have destroyed this country too.
All right.
Which he is also part of.
All right, you forgot to ask, isn't this the same Oshiomhole that is your dancing partner? But that's besides the point.
No,
but going back to this Umahi subject, I mean, I do appreciate the fact that he was able to send that warning because you know that the road was awarded in 2012, correct? That's Abuja-Lokoja Road. Oh. And since then, I mean, it's become a death trap.
Well, the part that I took away from that interaction between the Umahi and the contractors is that he was telling the contractors that the same, basic point that he approved for Julius Berger is what he will approve to them. And that this is an offer that the federal government of Nigeria was making to the contractors. Same basic rates. It's either they accept it or they do not accept it. What I see in this example is that he's an engineer. He understands the language. And he says he has done the assessment. He used the word review himself. So what is important is that when you put a man who understands the subject in the position, it will be very difficult to bamboozle him. And what we have seen with David Umahi's example is that whether it is the Third Mainland Bridge or any other project that he's handling, it comes with a position of knowledge, being a fellow of the engineering society himself. Secondly, there's been so much hulabaloo over this landmark matter. Well, I don't want to go into the details. If you know how to access the media, you can use the media to push your cause and have persons who will speak for you. However, let the point be noted that it's not only landmark that is affected. There are other, institutions along that line, including villages along that coastal highway that are affected. And there is another building that has also been put down along the way. Now, under the Land Use Act, people should know that your building can be taken over in for public purposes, for the interest of the public. What the Tinubu government has to do is to make sure that this coastal highway that they are doing, while taking over people's property, they pay them the relevant compensation. Two, they make sure that the public purpose that they say is going to be served is served.
All right.
Otherwise, you will have pulled down people's property in vain.
Okay.
We hope that will not happen. But that the government cannot take over your property or, use your property for public purpose. Nobody should say that.
All right.
We are all equal under the law.
We'll take another story. As the fight against corruption by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission takes center stage, human rights activists Francis Nwakwa and actress Hilda Dokubo have asked the anti-graft agency to also look into corruption of point-of-sale operators who buy Naira from financial institutions and resell to Nigerians at exorbitant rates. Nwakwa asked the anti-graft agency in a post on X to arrest individuals in different financial institutions who are responsible for making Nigerians buy Naira in their own country, stating that it is the worst form of Naira abuse. Dokubo, on the other hand, called for the regulation of POS and a thorough investigation of bank officials engaging in the act.
This is an emergency, and it needs to be addressed immediately by the financial regulatory bodies in Nigeria. Why do Nigerians have to buy Naira in Nigeria? Why? Because that's exactly what this amounts to. You buy Naira at from between 5% and 10% of how much you want to withdraw based on the location. So if you are in my community, for instance, you get to pay 10%. If you are in Port Harcourt, maybe you get to pay 5%. Maybe if you are right in front of the bank, but right now, they all have uniform charges. They'll tell you it's 300 Naira per with 5,000 or so. Who owns those POSs? Because after you pay to withdraw, your bank still charges you bank charges. So the average Nigerian is paying multiple times to withdraw the same amount of money. Who owns the POSs? Who in the bank is ensuring that the citizens of Nigeria buy Naira in Nigeria? Regulatory body. Onasi work do. That is the real abuse of the Naira.
I must say, I agree with her. That is the real abuse of the Naira. I've never been a victim, but I think the main point is that these POSs need to be regulated and the ATM machines should work. Again, who owns those POSs? Rufai.
So it's a question of financial inclusion.
Yes.
If you financially include people in those lower areas, they will not need to go through all those pain of POSs. But you don't have bank ATMs dispensing in those local areas.
They're not working.
They're not working and all of that. So the POS people, in all fairness, then feels the market. And it's a business. There needs to be a markup for them to be able to make it back. So the question we should ask is, what can we do as regards regulating the markup? Because also the markup is based on the availability, one, of cash, two, how difficult it is for them to be able to get the cash. Because like she said rightly, there's an also ecosystem at the back and the bank at the end that get them cash, which is also that. So please, you cannot also, in the process of demonizing POSs, forget that it's a business.
Yeah, but
even if you have a cash back, you know, you get something. It's just like you also saying that because transferring, it should be an add-on. Why are we paying certain money to NIPS while we do interbank transfers and all of that? That's just a conversation.
Yes,
also.
I like that conversation.
So, but also let us, I think what we should now call for is how we can make the system a whole lot better for the people. But I don't think it's binary. It's a charge. It's a line charge. It's a service rent that they're giving you.
Yeah, but it should be regulated.
Also, in all fairness, Oji, the POS regulators are not forcing you. You see them by the road, you come to them because there's not enough financial inclusion and you can't get money.
All right,
they
I
are
don't think
not
you have
forcing
been a
you.
victim.
No, I've been a victim. I've not used them many times.
The part of it that I do not understand is the fact that when you go to the banks don't have cash.
That's the point.
Even in the banking laws, they will tell you that they don't even have 100,000 naira.
Come on.
If you like, you go to 4 branches, they will say no money. They have not sent us money. You go to the ATM, there is no money. But these POS operators have money. Yes, financial inclusion, they're supposed to promote electronic transactions. But do you know that if you are looking for cash, if you go to these same POS operators, the same cash that is not in the banks, they will give you and they will charge you. So why do the POS operators, why do they have cash and banks don't have cash? And that's a part of Ida Dokubo's contribution, which I consider very important. That these bank managers and their tellers should be probed.
Absolutely.
Because what she's saying is that the banks have abdicated their responsibility of serving customers. They are now pushing the cash to this POS. Yeah, the POS, they were supposed to help electronic transaction and make transaction easier. But they are creating a situation whereby the banks have become mortuaries, where you cannot get live cash.
I mean.
So this is a part of the problem. And I support the CBN, saying that some of these groups, you know, because these POS people, they say they are working for OPE, they are working for Kuda, they are working for Money Point and all that. The CBN has taken the decision to suspend further opening of accounts at that level. And I think that it's one of the attempts by the CBN to address these challenges that people have drawn up. Positive issues, you know, about transfer and all that. But we are seeing that no matter how good an idea is, Nigerians will abuse it.
Dr. Why don't you do bank transfer?
I leave Dr.
It's
a choice. The same thing is a choice.
You make your choices.
I think you both have made fantastic points, really. And I
all
think
the Bermuda triangles in Nigeria's financial system. No, I go by the old way. I like checks. Every day. That one you can monitor.
All right. Well, I wish we had more time to take our final story, but we do not have time. Yes, we will take it tomorrow. I mean, I think that it's an important story as well. But I'd like to thank you both for your great analysis. As always on What's Trending. Dr. Abati, please do transfer sometimes. I mean, that's all we're asking. That's all we're asking. Well, all right. Well, that's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.